You tearing me apart! Sorry. Naylor204 here, everyone. And today we're doing a movie review. We'll be reviewing Rebel Without a Cause. And just a fair warning, I'm gonna roast the crap out of this movie because this movie is super garbage. But anyway, getting into it, like I said, made 1955. It was directed by Nicholas Ray, and it stars James Dean, Sal Mineo, however you say his name, and Natalie Wood. And this is a movie that is considered honestly one of the greatest movies of all time, especially considered the greatest, or one of the greatest coming of age stories. And yeah, I don't agree. This movie's really bad. I thought at first that like maybe just maybe my initial reaction wasn't good because that happens with movies. Sometimes you watch a movie, you don't like it at first, you watch it again, and then you realize, oh, this actually was a good movie. Maybe it takes another watch. Maybe it takes 3 watches. Maybe it takes 4 watches. You never know. But with this case, no. This movie it never got to me. This movie's really bad. Basically, what it's about is it's about this kid, Jim Stark, and his family. They keep on moving to different towns, trying to get to a normal life, I guess. And which is really weird because in the definition of these movies, like it says that like it's a rebellious kid, but Jim Stark really isn't rebellious at all. In fact, he's actually kind of a good guy, a good man, someone I'd want to hang out with. And so just going into a little bit of my concerns with this movie, I don't like the side characters in this movie, which may not seem like a big deal, but it really is in the end, which we'll get to that. First of all, James Dean as Jim Stark, really well done. His whole character and his whole, like his parents even too, and his whole storyline is completely fine. I'm 100% good on that. I love he's really the only redeeming part of this movie. You really get the sense of parents, I guess kind of parents' expectations and parents kind of controlling kids and how parents can be wrong. And you kind of get that with Jim Stark's character. He's his dad, his mom and his dad fight all the time. His dad kind of just deals with his mom, and his mom is just really just a terrible person to his dad, basically. And this kind of drives Jim Stark insane, which is kind of why he does some of the things he does in this movie and in prior events, such as like, he's a big reason why they move towns, because they move towns because whenever he does something bad, they move towns because they think that that'll be good, which this family's really weird. I don't understand that. Like, I don't know. If I rob a store, I don't think moving to another town would help me and would get me better. I think sitting me down and telling me what I did was bad, or maybe going to jail would, that would tell me what to do. But apparently, moving towns is what Jim Stark needs to do to get his life on track. And so you really get that from Jim Stark. You get kind of the division between teenagers and their parents. Just that different generational thing that a lot of movies fail to do. A lot of movies set out to do, and they just cannot do it. And so I give the movie credit for that. I give the movie credit for Jim Stark and for James Dean acting. James Dean acting is insane in this movie. His character is really well done. And anytime he's on screen, I love it, And especially like the first half of this movie is actually pretty solid. I'm not going to lie. There's some things that I have problems with, which we'll get into. But the second half of this movie is where it gets really bad. But going back to what I was talking about, the characters, the side characters, I just absolutely hate. I hate Judy's character, Natalie Wood, playing Judy. Her character just doesn't make sense. In the first scene of the movie, we have them in this like police room, and she's explaining how it's like 1:30 in the morning, and how she left her parents because her dad is mean and he calls her bad words, but she doesn't know. She doesn't know that her dad is bad. So she keeps saying, I think my dad is bad. I don't know if he actually hates me. I don't know if he actually doesn't love me. I feel like he doesn't love me. I don't know. And that's the thing that gets me with a lot of these side characters, is that they're so uncertain, which I guess is okay, because like that's kind of, when you're a teenager, that's kind of the way you are, is you're not really too sure of a lot of things in the world. But when it's a big thing about their character, they kind of the audience kind of needs to know. But we never know with Judy and with Plato, which I'll get to. But I hate Judy's character, and especially later in the movie, this movie is super cringe. I'm not gonna lie. This movie just made me cringe so hard. Like one of the hardest cringes I've ever had in my life. And one of the biggest moments of that in this movie is when we kind of see her with her dad, and she kisses her dad on the lips. Mind you, she's supposed to be like a junior or senior in this movie. Natalie Wood, the actress, was 17 years old when this movie was made, probably 16 years old when this movie was filmed. And her dad, I don't know how old he is. He looks like he's like 50, 60. Really weird. I mean, this is Hollywood in the 50s, you know. A lot of weird stuff happened with, especially with directors, what they want with their actresses, and it's disgusting. It's gross. But it's more weirder because she does it at this age. Like, who? This isn't even like a thing of like, well, okay, this is just some weird thing that this family does. But like, seriously, what family has their daughter or son kissing their parents almost at 18 years old? That's just weird. And so then her dad's like, no, stop. You need to stop doing that. Because, I mean, yeah, that's, to be fair, she's almost 18 years old. She should not be kissing her father in the lips, mind you. Not even just kissing him, in the lips. And she freaks out. She's like, you don't love me, Dad. And that's the only instance, that's the only example we get of the reason why her dad doesn't love her is because his dad gets mad at her for kissing him in the lips when she's almost 18 years old. Honestly, I don't feel bad for her at all. I think that she kind of deserves that, you know, because that's a really weird thing to do, and it's something that, yeah, you could do as a little kid, but not something you should do later in life. And just because he doesn't kiss you in the lips doesn't mean he doesn't love you. And that's all we get. We don't get any examples. Also, in the beginning scene where she goes on a whole 5-minute rant about how she doesn't like her dad, they eventually tell her, "Hey, we'll call your mom and get her." And she's like, "No, my mom." And I'm like, bruh, like, you didn't even tell us that your mom was bad. If anything, you told us that your mom was fine. So I don't understand her hatred, or her, not even hatred, that's a bit stronger of a word, but I don't understand her, I guess, division against her parents. Like, Jim, I get his completely. His parents are constantly fighting with each other, and his dad is kind of like this fake person, and I get that, and they do a great job of showing that, but they don't do that a good job of showing that with Judy. And it wouldn't matter so much, but she's kind of a big character in this movie, so it kind of does matter. I wouldn't even consider her a side character. She's probably the second main character behind Jim. Um, I don't like her character. Plato is a character that I just don't understand. This movie does a terrible job of explaining this character. And a big thing is that he's a side character throughout the whole beginning half of the movie. Really, the 3/4 of the movie. He's not really a big character. He's kind of just a side character that kind of becomes friends with Jim, but not really. But the thing is, he ends up becoming a big character in the end because, spoiler alert, I mean, 70 years later, um, he dies in the end, and it's a big deal. And that would have been made more sense if they hinted at that earlier, or if they hinted at just the fact that he was a big character, but he's not a big character at all. 3/4 of the movie, you don't really care about him, and he's barely on screen. And I just, kind of going off of that, basically his character is supposed to be this, like, he's kind of supposed to be mentally ill, but again, we don't really know because he's not really sure. His parents leave him when he's young, and we're supposed to feel sympathy for that, but they don't tell us why his parents leave. That's a problem. Like, I would feel bad for you, yeah, that's terrible, but why did your parents leave you? They don't tell us. I think that's a flaw in the movie. I think we need to know that about his character. I know he's a shy character and doesn't have many friends, but we kind of need to know information like that. It's kind of a big deal, especially if this guy's going to die at the end and his death is going to mean a lot towards the movie. We kind of need to know that. A flaw in the movie. Brain dead. I hate this movie. Anyway, so I don't like his character. Also, this is me speculating. I don't think it is. His character seems kind of gay in this movie. I'm not going to lie. And that's not a bad thing. I just think it's weird and it doesn't make sense. You have the whole, just the way he looks at Jim, the way he just is obsessed with Jim, kind of gives me that vibe. And I don't think it's really a mistake that they did that. In fact, I heard a story that James Dean purposely made him like stare at him and stare at his eyes and put makeup, like more makeup on than usual. And it kind of shows up. And I don't really get the point of that because if he is falling for Jim, Jim's not supposed to be a gay character. That's not even a big part of the story. If anything, he falls for, it's the romance between Jim and Judy that we get. We don't get the romance between Jim and Plato. And then you have the whole thing where he has this book of addresses that he writes, and they're all like boys. So kind of weird. I I don't know. The way the movie kind of makes it seem like is that the reason why he's mentally ill is because he's gay, which that is really homophobic and does not make any sense. Um, I mean, I wouldn't really be surprised because I mean, this is like 50s Hollywood, you know. They were pretty homophobic back then, but that doesn't make sense though. Like that literally does not, like, logically that doesn't make sense. I'm gay, so I'm mentally ill. No, there's no correlation there at all. So again, the movie just being super brain dead. I don't understand it. But anyway, Plato's character just I don't care for that friendship at all. Um, and then after we have the whole like beginning scene, we have some scenes with Jim and his parents, which are great. And then we have the knife fight scene, which the scene's so stupid. The kids are so stupid. Like I'm telling you, any scene that's not James and that's not Jim and his parents, I hate. Um, this doesn't make sense. So basically, they're in this planetarium, and they're and again, more cringe stuff. I don't know if grandparents actually, like, I don't know if our grandparents, because they were like high schoolers in the 50s, I don't know if they actually like did this stuff. I really hope not, because it's really stupid. But basically, they're talking about like animals in the planetarium, and then they made like the noise of like a chicken or something, or a cow or something, and then everyone laughed, and I'm like, that's really not funny. That's literally like elementary school type, level of humor, which it's not too big of a deal because this movie's not supposed to be a comedy, but still, come on, you can do better than that. So then Jim tries to fit in because he's a new kid at the school. He just moved, so he makes a cow noise, and then everyone gets mad at him, and they want to fight him. And the thing is, I wouldn't care so much if they told me they were bullies. This group of people are bullies, but they never told us that. Like leading up to this moment, we learn later in the movie that they are, but like until this moment comes, we don't know they're bullies. The only scene we get with them is them taking Judy in their car, which doesn't imply that they're bullies. They're just giving her a ride. So I'm a little confused at that point. I'm like, why are these people bullies? Like, why are they getting mad at him for making a cow noise? Like, it's not like he did anything rude. It wasn't like he did it sarcastically. And so then this leads to this whole like section where they get into a knife fight. Again, James Dean character Jim, he's not a rebel. He doesn't even want to get involved with these kids, but he kind of has to because they're literally cornering him. And plus they like mess up his car, which again doesn't make sense because we don't know they're bullies at this moment. And so then they get this whole knife fight, and I mean, again, it's just like, what is with a knife fight? That's so stupid. Like, I'd rather see a fist fight. That makes more sense. Like, I don't get it. It's just so brain dead, and it's not even like interesting, especially since we know that he's not gonna die. He's literally the main character, and it goes on forever, mind you, too. This scene's like 10 minutes, so another flaw in the movie. And that's why the first half of the movie isn't that good, really. The only good parts in this movie are with James Dean character Jim and his parents. Those are the only good scenes in this movie. So then we get that whole scene stupid, but then basically the cops come and nothing happens. They take 10 minutes for nothing to happen. I'm so bored of this movie at this moment. And then they're gonna have this chicken race later, which then you have a couple more scenes again with Natalie Wood's character Judy and her parents, and Jim and his parents, and then you get to the scene with where they're racing, and basically the whole idea of a chicken race is that you have to drive off. Two people have a car, and you have to drive off, and then whoever jumps out first basically loses because they're more of a chicken. I mean, this is more better than a knife fight. Like, this is actually interesting, and it's pretty cool, actually. And so Buzz the bully, Buzz and Jim go in the cars, and then Buzz doesn't jump out. His car goes off the valley, and he dies. And so this is obviously a good scene, and this creates a lot of, interesting stuff with Jim's character, and especially with his dad, where he's like, "What should I do, Dad?" And his dad doesn't know because his dad's kind of a wimp. And then Jim gets mad because, he's not tight with his dad. His parents suck, and so it's a good scene, and then it kind of leads into the next part. And then this is where the movie gets completely stupid, and I hate the movie so much. Because then these people get mad at Jim for what they did, even though they literally forced Jim to do this car ride. Like, these characters, these bullies, this group of people are so stupid and so brain dead. And I know they're high schoolers, but high schoolers don't even act like that. Like, high schoolers are not willing to go so far to bully you to the fact that where they commit suicide and kill themselves. Like, I've never known a bully that would go so far to literally kill himself just to bully you, just to piss you off. And I don't think that was even a common thing in the 50s. That's not a thing at all. That never happens with bullies, and it's stupid and it's brain dead, and I hate it. And they get mad at Jim for it, even though they forced him to do it because of Buzz's death. And it's stupid. And then a whole nother thing happens, which is also dumb. By the way, this whole thing is in a day, which is really stupid because Natalie Wood's character, Judy, is kind of like a girlfriend of Buzz, the guy who dies, which, or they don't really tell us that, but they kind of hint at it. And so then later, she goes over to Jim, and she starts hitting on them, and then they kind of become girlfriend-boyfriend within a couple hours. And it doesn't make sense, because it's like, your boyfriend literally just died. You're that quick to move on? I mean, I know, like, you know, they're probably not too serious in a relationship, but still, regardless, you need a couple days to, you know, get past that. But this all happens in one day. And I know, you know, they're trying to convey the message that, like, teenage love is really quick, but this is a little ridiculous. All this happens in one day. Are you kidding me? You're trying to convince me of that? I'm not buying it. And so then they have this cringe scene where they're loving each other, and then they go to this mansion to escape their problems. This mansion that Plato keeps on referencing to throughout the whole movie that he wants them to go to. And then it leads this whole section of Plato finally telling us that he's mentally ill, even though we don't know that. He still doesn't tell us why his parents left him, and we don't really learn anything, and it's just more cringe. And eventually their friends come catching up. Plato literally kills one of them with a gun, and then we get into this whole scene where you know, Jim's kind of trying to calm him down because he's mentally ill. And then basically the movie ends with him coming out there, Plato coming out with all the cops there, and the cops think that it's Jim because he has his red jacket on, and then they kill him. And what makes this part stupid is, first of all, why does the movie even come to this? Why is Plato dying? And second of all, Jim is sad at first and is crying, and then he moves on and he's smirking and he's happy with his girlfriend, Judy, his new girlfriend, Judy, which, that's stupid. But it's like, wow, your friend died and you don't care? I mean, I honestly don't care. So maybe he's the same with me. Maybe he feels the same. He's like, this is stupid, you know? Because we're not supposed to care about his character, and we're not supposed to, because they don't give me any reason to care about Plato's character. So when he dies, I don't care. I'm just like, you know, like, it's, for example, like, if you hear someone died on the news, it's like, you feel sad, but you don't know that person, so you really don't care too much, you know? That's kind of the same way I feel with Plato, which is bad, because a movie's supposed to make you feel bad about someone's dying, unless it's a side character, which is what I thought Plato was, until he ends up being a main character. And so there's really no point to this whole movie. You just wasted 2 hours of my time, and there's no point to the whole movie. Because in the end, Jim's kind of happy with his new girlfriend, Judy, and nothing ends. There's no, like, Jim's character arc doesn't end. Judy's character arc doesn't end, if it even started. And Plato dies, and I just don't care. And this movie's garbage. And I'm sorry if this is one of your favorite movies, but this movie's terrible. The only good scenes in this movie are with Jim and his parents. That's it. No, nothing else is good about this movie. Nothing else is redeeming. And so I went online to see why people love this movie so much, and literally all I could find is that James Dean acting is good. James Dean. And I'm like, bruh, one actor cannot carry a movie. Like, Natalie Wood's character is stupid, and Plato's character is stupid, and they're two huge characters in the movie. So what do you mean? You're just going to disregard, like, 2/3 of the movie? Only 1/3 of the movie is good, so therefore it makes it one of the greatest movies of all time? I don't think so. And so, yeah, I was really let down with this movie, not going to lie. This movie was just such a waste of my time and was just so boring, and I didn't gain anything out of this. And so, yeah, I give it 6.5 out of 10, which is honestly being gracious, because this movie's garbage. But you heard it from me, so thank you guys for watching. Tell me your thoughts on this movie. Is this your favorite movie of all time? If it is, sorry, I just roasted your favorite movie, but your favorite movie is garbage, and you should like better movies. But I'm just kidding, guys, and thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.